Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is a show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. Pretty much, I'm putting out this show mainly because you all have voted for topography. So what I'll do is I'll just do 2 topography episodes later. But some stuff has come up. I'm like, I probably should talk about that. Since it's a bit more relevant, and definitely sort of throwing some ideas out there here soon. But anyway, thank you for everybody that did vote on Twitter, and your votes were not for nothing. Anyway, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. But first, I'm going to talk about Despotellis. And you might be wondering, like, hey, Dark Logos, why are we talking about Despotellis? Primarily because Despotellis seems to be a meta fallback for a lot of people here recently. And I don't want to say, like, oh, look, he's invincible, because he's not. But he is causing a lot of waves. So I just want to sort of address like his reality and what does it mean for the game, and then how you yourself are able to deal with Despotellis. Okay, Despotellis is 30 points, and the big reason why he's seeing fielding on so many teams right now is just purely for the fact he's so cheap. And for 30 points, there's very little that's comparable to him. You can do defense, whoring, you can pretty much use poison tricks, you can do a whole ton of stuff. So if we ever get a character that allows you to substitute other characters' printed values, oh my gosh, Despotellis will be the man, or the it, or whatever it is. Okay, so anyway, pretty much he has a trait Virus. Despotellis does not require opponents to break away. Despotellis does not block line of fire and cannot have its combat values increased. First off, if anybody says like, hey, my Despotellis has energy shield deflection, no, your Despotellis does not. Oh, my Despotellis has combat reflexes, no, your Despotellis does not. You don't get any mods. You don't even get your +1 for hindering or tiny size. You are a flat 20. You do not modify your combat values at all. A lot of people don't realize that. The card says so. Okay. Now, with that being said, that does not get rid of replacement. Okay, so I really want to make that clear. If there ever becomes a team ability or a figure that allows you to replace your damage or your defense or your attack, well, actually there is for attack. There's a couple of abilities that allow you to replace your attack. Despotellis can do it. So that's something to be considered. Despotellis could still roll to hit. If he does crit hit, he would do 1 damage. So that is something else that a lot of people don't realize, that even though he has a 0 printed, if he does crit hit, Despotellis would do 1 damage and 1 knockback and then still follow you. So that's something. Now, here's the next part where a lot of people overlook. The sickness is already inside of you. Now, this power is, I hate to say it, the secret sauce that a lot of folks overlook. When an adjacent opposing character is moved or placed, okay, you may place Despotellis adjacent to that character after actions resolved. When an adjacent opposing character is KO'd, you may place Despotellis to another opposing character after actions resolved. Now, here's the key issue. Despotellis can have this, I mean, you can outwit this power on Despotellis. All right. Now, I've seen a lot of people make mistakes with this figure, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, all I need to do is just magically KO a figure, and then Despotelis just teleports across the map." No, that's not the case. Despotelis has to be adjacent to a figure when it is KO'd. Okay, so that's a big deal, and a lot of people don't read that, and a lot of people don't pay attention to that, and so there's some games that go in wrong ways because people aren't paying attention to what Despotelis is saying. Other thing is, you can outwit his ability to automatically follow you wherever you go, and a lot of people don't realize that. They just think, oh well, that's just how he is. No, that's dumb. That's not how he is. Okay, you can outwit that, and there are very few characters and abilities out there that are allowing him to be not outwitted. Okay, so that's a key. A lot of people think that his poison, which I'm going to get to in a moment, is the same as his outwit. I mean, same as his movement power, that it can't be outwitted, and that's not true. The other thing is that if there's a wonderful character called Speed Demon, and Speed Demon just runs around Despotelis, uses his little whirlwind thing, and then says, yeah, you come near me, then I do my whirlwind thing. Because I am the acting character, I get to choose the order in which actions resolve. And usually with that, you can KO Despotelis without landing a hit on him if you roll well. So you don't even have to roll to hit, you just have to run by him. And then the biggest part is that if you can get him away from his taxi and then just have him stranded out in the middle of nowhere, it's going to be 2 turns before Despotelis gets back into any sort of fight, at least. And he's taken at least 1. So Speed Demon, keep that on your radar. So let's look at Pandemic of Fear. Despotelis can use poison. When he does, he may use it normally or instead deal each adjacent opposing character penetrating damage equal to the number of action tokens on that character. This power can't be countered. So here's the big deal, is that Despotelis loves being next to people that are pushed. More so, Despotelis loves being teamed up with figures with end cap. So you have to sort of watch it, because certain figures in Sealed do have end cap, such as, what is it? Not Krona. Oh gosh, Ganthit. Blue Lantern Ganthit. He has access to end cap. And so all of a sudden, it's like, bam, I've taken damage in a token, and oh, Despotelis is next to me. Oh crap. So there are some things to be said with that. Okay, so Despotelis's poison is very interesting. Anyway, here we go. Despotelis can use poison. When he does, he may use it normally or instead deal each adjacent opposing character penetrating damage equal to the number of action tokens on that character. This power can't be countered. So here's the thing. There's no reason why not to do the second one, unless the character doesn't have any action tokens. But then you can't be like, I do both. You have to pick one or the other. Either it's poison or action tokens, but 9 times out of 10 it's going to be action tokens. Here's the big key about Despotelis that I know people are going to be like, oh look, I do Adara defend bomb, whatever. Okay, here's the big issue, and this is something I've been play testing recently. 13 attack. Pure and simple, 13 attack. And I know you're like, okay, why are you just arbitrarily saying 13 attack? For one main reason. 13 attack is real simple to get. You either get it with a Quake, you can get it with, not with a Quake, you can get it with hammers and Quake bomb the fire out of Despotelis. You can, for a lack of a better word, just perplex it up. But if you have anybody that has a high attack, just perplex it up and just whack Despotelis for 3 and he's done. And what's sad is I've seen a lot of people sort of just lose their momentum once Despotelis dies. Like they were just banking on him to save their entire planet or something. Like it doesn't work like that. He's good, but he's not that good. So anyway, definitely, is this a figure that is worth your time? Yes, definitely look at him. I also know that because with heroclix, it's the Attack of the Clones. Okay, you think you're in a Star Wars movie, half the time for high level competitive play. And people will say, like, oh my gosh, did you see the Despotellas showed up at The Rock, or Despotellas showed up at Origins, or Despotellas showed up at Gen Con? Did you see that? And then they'll proceed to blindly play. But what have we known from listening to this show all the time? It's not just good enough to know why somebody's playing something, but how it works. And so definitely, just because I've seen a lot of comments lately about Despotellas, I was like, yeah, we need to go touch this. All right, so let's go into the Guardians of the Galaxy and really break some things down. First off, I bought a good amount of it because I work at a Target. Just pure and simple. Even with my discount, a whole box was going to run me almost, I would say almost $100. Yeah, after tax. If I was to, because you can't just get a discount. Excuse me, you can't get a flat discount for buying them all together, even if you buy the whole box. But I have a 10% employee discount. So I end up buying $50 worth, which is a good amount. Not quite the whole display, but a good amount. And so I sort of noticed that I did have duplicates, but I didn't have as many as I thought. And I think that's primarily just due to the fact that there's so many figures in this little crappy mini set. But that's just me. Anyway, so we're just going to go do a brief rundown. We're going to look at characters, not necessarily saying oh my gosh, these are the end-all be-all of all characters, but just characters that I think that are noteworthy of looking at. Okay. First off, Star-Lord, coming in at 95 points, stealth 8 range, with espionage battlesuit. Star-Lord can use stealth and ignores running shot and short duration flight. Star-Lord can use leap climb. When he does, if he moved half his speed value or less after action resolve, he may make a ranged combat attack as a free action. Now, this functionally gives him a way of getting around through hindering terrain, and without him having improved movement or flight, and then just taking a pot shot. Now, this isn't bad. Not bad at all. For a movement running shot, technically. But it does say half his speed value. So you could perplex it up. So that's some good stuff to know. Upfront leadership, combat reflexes, alright. Okay. Having a lot of having the soldier keyword in Guardians of the Galaxy is also nice. Ravagers keyword, I think that's going to be interesting. I'm just going to say that. Anyway, next up is Gamora. And the main reason I like this Gamora is the sidestep, the Levitak, the very cheap cost. Still not as good as the Secret Invasion Gamora. But anyway, she has improved movement, ignores hindering terrain, may move through squares adjacent to opposing characters, but still needs to break away normally. But whatever. Let's see. She has a sibling rivalry thing, but that's sort of dumb. And I didn't even know that Nebula was also a daughter of Drax. Huh. That's interesting. Anyway, working both sides. When a hindered line of fire is drawn to Gamora, modify her defense value by +1/2 instead of +1. So it technically gives her a sort of an energy shield deflection, if you think about it. So either way, she's really good for what she does. Now, here's the thing. Some people might say, well, blah, 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 Superman TA. No, 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 no. It's just when it's drawn through, you get it. It doesn't matter if it's hindered or, I mean, it doesn't matter if you ignore hindering terrain or not. It still crosses through there. Now, again, rules person could say otherwise, but again, that would require me to email heroclix rules at whizkids.com or neca.com, whatever it is now, since they're not posted on the freaking forums anymore, which is bad form in all honesty, but oh well. Moving on down, Nova Corpsmen. They're fun if you like Nova Corps. Just sort of just put them all together, because that through the world mind stuff, we already know how that goes. If you haven't used it before, they can be really great, but you need to. I'll say it like this: if you're ever going to play Nova Corps, you will have to practice formations, or else you are going to lose. They are probably one of the toughest teams to run, even though they get a ton of bonuses by working together, but they're ridiculous. All right, next up is Rocket Raccoon. Rocket Raccoon. Now, this is the standard Rocket Raccoon, not the Chase Rocket Raccoon. He has Tactical Genius. Rocket Raccoon can use Perplex, but only modify attack and defense values. When he uses Perplex, he can target both friendly and opposing characters and modify the same combat value for each. Now, this is great because this would allow you to modify your defense by +1 and lower your opponent's defense by -1, and then shoot them in the face. Most people won't think about that, and that's a really, really, really strong effect. Definitely when you're combining that with 7 range and running shot and range combat expert. So you're just like, well, I perplex up my attack, lower your attack, and then I'm going to shoot your buddy over there, and while he's dead or half crippled, you won't be able to counterattack me. Now, you got to remember this. If you use the perplex, it all happens at once, and if you hit the target, that target has taken damage, and that perplex is then removed. So that's a FYI for you. Anyway, you start off with evasive when Rocket Raccoon is target with an attack. Roll a d6 and subtract 3, minimum 1. Increase his defense value by the result. So that's just great, because no matter what, your defense value is at worst +1 and at best +3, which means that up front he could have a 20. And it doesn't matter what type of attack it is, it's just an attack. Now, he has to be targeted, so splash damage from energy explosion would not help you. Crowd control. Rocket Raccoon can use energy explosion and precision strike, but he gets that later, so whatever. Alright, we're just going to scroll past the Sicarians, because they're really not that good. I mean, you can argue for the Sicarian soldier just a tad, but yeah, that's alright. Ronan the Accuser. He's a minion of Thanos, which is sort of a spoiler, don't you think? Anyway, I like Ronan. Now, the main reason is that it's been a long time since we got like a real throw down, beat you up Ronan. Now, I really think that once you hit 275, you should be able to either have multi-attack or 5 damage. You know, if you're over the 250 mark, if you're not packing 5 damage, I'm sorry. You're wasting my time. Anyway, but at 275 or 200 points, you get live, Cree, or die. That's dumb. I just commenting on the name. It's like live, free, or die, but it's live, Cree, or die. That's dumb. Anyway, other characters within 4 squares and with the Cree keyword increase their attack and defense value by +1 unless already modified by this effect. Now, this is a pretty big boon for Cree. And I was about to say Shi'ar for a moment, but I'm like, no, for Cree. Now, the problem is, though, most of the Cree, outside of Ronan the Accuser and Miss Marvel, sort of suck. Also, Captain Marvel. depending on which one. Anyway, but most of them suck. So this sort of helps, but not really, because they still suck. Him having leadership to sort of try to keep them going is nice. But with no power cosmic, you are sort of SOL just a bit. You would think he would have that. Anyway, you stand accused during the beginning of the game. Choose an opposing character with the point value of 100 points or greater. When that character is within Ronan the accuser's line of fire, standard defense powers it possesses are countered. Okay, so you're getting Agent 13 at range. So that's interesting, but the problem is that, like, hey, if that character has stealth, you won't be able to draw a line of fire. Or if they're like Bedovian, you just can't draw a line of fire. So there's several things that don't bode well with that. Next up is a special power. The only one that he has the entire dial is Cosmirod. It's not even a cosmic rod, it's Cosmirod. I guess they didn't want to get sued by DC. Ronan the Accuser can use Force Blast, Penetrating Psychic Blast, and Quake. Not impressed. But he is a good boon for, like I said, for Kree. I'm not really going to comment on Groot. Because no matter what, I keep thinking about old Groot. And I think he's just ridiculously expensive for his cost, but everyone's going to love him because he's Groot. But as I say with many other figures, throw a hammer on it, and there you go. All right. Next up, I didn't pull one. I didn't pull a Nebula. Now here's why Nebula is awesome. Shape change, mastermind, and precision strike with stealth. Now, I really do like all of that together. Now, I really wish she had some range, but unfortunately, she does not. But I do think it's pretty cool. Let's see. Here we go. Irani Rael. I was debating about her. Now she's Cosmic, Nova Corps, and Police. And I feel sort of bad because you're going to need Pogs to keep her alive, which are the people she is supposed to protect. Anyway, organizational control is her trait. One of her traits is if Irani Rael is. Oh gosh, it's like it should be just Israel right there. Just anyway, sorry. If Irani Rael is in your starting area and not adjacent to an opposing character, she can draw lines of fire and count range in squares from the square of any friendly character with the Nova Corps keyword. Now, considering that she has Perplex and Outwit, this can be pretty good. Really, really good. But at 60 points, you're looking at a big high point game in which that's useful. I really wish it was just any keyword and not Nova Corps. But that's how it goes. Then share through the world mind. Friendly characters with Nova Corps keyword ignore knockback and modify their defensive values by +1. Now, here's the thing. That trait is just flat. No adjacency, nothing. You just have to, she just needs to exist. Okay? And the other issue is that it does not say, and I'm hoping that this stays true, it does not say if not already modified by this effect. So she's a rare. To my knowledge, she's not a unique. If someone knows if she's a unique, let me know. I really do want to know. Then that would solve a lot of problems. But if she is not unique, then bam, yeah, you definitely need to check that out with her. Then there is Yandu, my man. Run a shot. Precision Strike. And he has trait Energy Shield Deflection. And he also has one little whistle, which you can make a ranged combat attack against a single target, modify Yondu's attack by +2. So for 82 points at 6 range, that's pretty good because you can just running shot and possibly have a 12 attack, which means you won't need hammers for him. I really wish that he could get Energy Explosion, but we all know that's what Gizmo's for. Gizmo comes in situations like this and he says, buddy, I got you. There's this thingamajig I've been working on, and it has your name all over it. So, yeah. Next up on my list of awesome is Drax the Destroyer, the mass market exclusive, number 13. Here's why. He stacks a lot on top of a lot to make you very concerned about the future of the game to an extent. Now, let's go into this, shall we? First off, he has trait Simple Man, Simple Purpose. During the beginning of the game, choose an opposing character, modify Drax the Destroyer's attack values by +1 when targeting that character with a close combat attack. Well, guess what? He's 90% of the time doing a close combat attack. Okay, next up is I Am the Destroyer. Drax the Destroyer can use Charge and Precision Strike. Now, you might say, well, there's nothing too bad with that, Dark Logos. Well, let's see. Okay, he has Charge, access to Precision Strike, which just sort of goes off. He has Battle Fury, okay, so he ignores Shape Change. So Precision Strike will allow him to ignore Super Senses. So pretty much he kills Spider-Man's dead. With the 3 base damage, with a flurry, he's going to kill most standard figures or really hurt them really, really hard. Just think about that. You know, he charges in flurries and then hits characters twice. Now, you might say, well, hey, Dark Logos, 3 damage isn't that bad. That's not that bad. Oh yeah, I'll agree. 3 damage is not that bad. It's the fact that you can then proceed and just say, hey man, there's this wonderful power called Perplex, and there's these things called relics and resources that allows me to get all sorts of other coolness out there. So that's something else. Then he gets damage power, which is Drax the Destroyer, machine-like precision. Drax the Destroyer can use Close Combat Expert and Combat Reflexes. Now, this is interesting because he has one click of this that overlaps with Precision Strike. So he's like, yeah, Close Combat Expert with Precision Strike. There you go. And last but not least is Defensive Special Power. There was nobody in it I wanted to see, which is sort of funny considering he's referencing the movie. When this click is revealed while taking damage from an attack, roll a d6 on a 5 through 6. Stop turning the dial. Drax the Destroyer can use regeneration, and if he has 1 or more action tokens, he can use it as a free action. Yeah. So this does mean if your opponent is super lucky, and I do mean super lucky, and is able to overcome the 2/3 odds against him at least once, if not twice, yeah, he's just going to come back in regen, which means you not need to double tap, but triple tap him, and that could be a problem. That could be a major problem. So, of course, Charge Blaze Claw's Fangs is always good. Add 1 part on the dial, but he stays mobile for a little over 2/3 of his dial. So definitely try to pick up that Drax the Destroyer. All right. I'll say this, and I'll be honest with you. I don't hate Roman Day, whatever it is. I just think when you build your team around your characters dying, then you have problems. And then also, you don't gain that much because you gain toughness and you have a minimum range value of 6. So I can see in certain situations how this can be useful, but I really don't think exchanging 75 points to get a Nova Core keyword and toughness and a range value of 6 is all that awesome. But hey, if you can figure out the need for it, then go right ahead. Now, next up is my man, Korath the Pursuer. Now, Korath the Pursuer takes in several elements that I find quite ridiculous and silly. And you might say, well, Dark Logos, you find many things ridiculous and silly. And I would come back and say that is correct. But this one in particular is awesome. At 100 points, he gets this trait. Pursuer templates. During the beginning of the game, choose an opposing character. If that character moved and made an attack since your last turn, give Korath the Pursuer a free action and place him in a square adjacent to that character. Hey, buddy, did you just running shot? Hypersonic speed? Yeah, I'm gonna go over by you. Yeah. And the next following statements are going to make you mad. You know how silly, and I do mean silly, the Absorbing Man power was. That he was just able to absorb objects and get all those stat bonuses. And absorb multiple ones. Then they errated it and say, no, you only can absorb one. And then the other one replaces the other one. Okay, so imagine that they just said, man, funk that. And then funk is that. Well, we used to say that when I was a kid. If funk that, F-O-N-K. Anyway, augmented cybernetics. Starts off with, this is so dumb. Give Korath the Pursuer a power action and place an adjacent standard object on his card. Modify Korath the Pursuer's attack and defense value by +1 for each of the objects on his card. When when this power is lost, any objects on his card are removed from the game. This power can't be countered or ignored. Now, in a realm where people use mostly resources and not special objects or relics, it's real easy to just load up on, objects, right? Standard objects. And they can be right in your near your starting area. And you can just be like, bloop, 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 eat them. This is nanobots, except they pump you up. Okay. Now, it only works on your attack and defense. So your attack can go up to an 11 and your defense can go up to a 18, but you can do this 3 times and then your attack can be a 13 and your defense a 20. Yeah. All of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness. I'm sort of hurting. Oh yeah. Now, here's the other thing. It says an adjacent standard object. This also includes if your opponent is carrying an object. So if your opponent is zipping along, they decide not to use their object for a hypersonic speed attack, and you were able to get TK'd and adjacent, you can just be like, you know what? I need another +1. Bloop. Take it. Because it doesn't say non-carried. So, yes. Definitely, this is going to be silly. Next, he has Subdue the Target. Korath the Pursuer can use Energy Explosion, Force Blast, and Incapacitate. Hey there, Despotellus. You want to get near me? I'm going to Force Blast you into a wall. There you go. So, yeah. There's a lot there. There is a lot there to really think about. When you're looking at him. He also has some running shot and a 5 range, and I know his range isn't that awesome, but if you really look at him, you can do some strong stuff with him. Gosh, I'm going to say this. He doesn't need a long range because he's going to pursue that one person. And there's many ways to bait out a running shot or a hypersonic speed from someone. Heck, most characters it's just inevitable. Okay, so definitely something to think about. And if you want to try to play, oh look, I got 2 of them, and then I use Gizmo to put out objects, and I play the stall game, and yeah, that's cool. You won't be able to stop Iron Pharaoh with that, because you have to move in attack, and Iron Pharaoh just like says, my bird moves for me, son. What's up? Anyway, the following is, I'm mentioning this character just because he's confusing. Not necessarily because he's good or bad or anything like that. It's just the fact that he's confusing. It's the Collector. And I have a Collector. And when I saw it, I'm like, what the heck do you do? Anyway, the Collector. I must possess it is his trait. During the beginning of the game, after characters have been placed, 1 collectible token per 100 points of the game's build total will be placed on the map. It says on the map. Each collectible must be at least 3 squares away from each other in any starting area. So you can have them 3 squares away from a starting area. An opponent places half of the collectibles. Okay. And you place the remainder. When a character occupies a square with a collectible, give it a power action. Roll a d6. Now, this isn't a relic, people, so you couldn't use split lip or anything like that. On a result of 4 through 6, place a collectible on its card. If that character is KO'd, return each collectible into a distinct adjacent square. When all friendly collectibles are on friendly characters' cards and those characters occupy your starting area, give the Collector double power action and all opposing characters are KO. What the heck? Now, here's the thing. There is a lot writing, and I kid you not, writing on this. And if you are going to try to get this off, okay? Now, note, in a 300-point game, the Collector is half your points, first off. The second is that you have to pick this up from a 4 through 6. So it's a 50-50 chance, okay? The other thing is that if your opponent gets one of these things, you are sort of screwed because then you can't do the double power action. Because it just says when a character occupies a square with a collectible, give it a power action and roll a d6. Okay, so when all friendly collectibles are on friendly characters. So here's the thing. You have to be able to, if you really do this, and I mean really do this, and you're going to do this in 300, the first thing I would say is just make a team of runners. That's all you have to do. They just need to run, preferably if they have invincible up front or stealth or whatever. It doesn't matter. Phasing. That's all they need to do. They just need to be able to get there and have some indomitable so they can pick it up. Okay? That's all you need to do. Because I never imagined in my wildest dreams that we would have an Exodia in heroclix. But this is Exodia, and now I have no reason to put him up on eBay. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Anyway, let's go to his damage power. You are one of a kind. When the Collector makes his attack, targeting a character that is unique or prime, modify his attack by +1 for every 100 points or a fraction thereof of the target's point value. So, no matter what, he's going to get a +1. Now, against the team base, he's going to get a +3. 9 times out of 10. Again, remember fractions thereof, it always rounds up. So if your team base is over 100 points but under 200, you still get +2. So yeah, the Collector, way better than I thought when I read him for the 3rd time. But it's freaking hilarious. Now note, if you're able to get this, now I think they need to make it clear, how the heck do you get a collectible Like, do collectibles? I actually. Okay, within place, one collectible per blah 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 placed on the map. Each collectible must be blah 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 blah. Half collectibles. Blah 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 blah. Character occupied. Yeah, it doesn't say like if you're KO'd. Oh no no! It says if that character is KO'd, return each collectible into a distinct adjacent square. So you not only have to get them, you have to protect yourself. Anyway, so who knows? Oh gosh. Oh gosh. I'm sorry. Professionalism, regaining it. Trying so hard. Doesn't help that it's like 4:32 in the morning. Yeah. Anyway. Next up is the Chase Star-Lord, and mainly just bringing him up because of his trait. But Chase Star-Lord, scream right back in his face. When Star-Lord is KO'd due to an opposing character's attack, deal that character 2 unavoidable damage. All out, Star-Lord can use Running Shot once per game. When he does, modify his combat values by +2 until the actions resolve, and then deal him 1 unavoidable damage. And I don't really like that, because you're just pushing yourself to die. I mean, really. Burst Fire. When you make a ranged combat attack that deals damage, you may choose to deal Star-Lord's printed damage value to the hit target instead of its normal damage. What? What? Let's read that again. When you make a ranged combat attack that deals damage, okay, you dealing damage, you may choose to deal Star-Lord's printed damage value to hit targets instead of normal damage. Now, at first, like even myself, I might take a moment to pause. Like, hold on, wait, that doesn't make sense, because I am hitting you, and I would do my printed damage, but he has 2 targets, so he could do his printed damage to 2 different targets. Now, where is the problem with this? Well, the problem comes in is that your highest value of doing this is 3. It's not that good. So it's up to you on how to use it. Next up is Chase Rocket Raccoon, because it seems everybody and their mama wants him. He has improved movement, ignores elevation, ignores hindering, which is sort of interesting. Okay. Then you have his trait. How about Rocket Raccoon and his human hanger-ons? Friendly characters adjacent to Rocket Raccoon with the Guardians of the Galaxy or Ravagers keyword modify their attack values by +1. Now, and I'm going to say this very nicely. This is awesome, but not strong enough to justify 100 points. It's awesome, but not strong enough to justify 100 points. Now you also have the special, which is funny. It's just called special. Rocket Raccoon can use outwit enhancement. Now, you might say, well, Dark Logos. Hey, buddy. He ups our attack, he outwits, and he does enhancement. And he can attack, and he has running shot and energy explosion and high defense. What's really wrong with Rocket Raccoon? 4 clicks of life! 4 clicks of life for 100 points! It makes me cry inside so bad. If I'll be honest. Let me be 100% trill with y'all. Yes, I did get ghetto for a moment. If he had 1 more click, I'd be like, this is one of the best chases in a countertop display set than we've seen in a long time. But it's so much risk on 4 clicks, because there's stuff that just comes out there and one-shots him. In comparison to the Rocket Raccoon that we just get standard, the standard Rocket Raccoon, he has 5 clicks. He knows how to throw down. Okay, this Rocket Raccoon, on the other hand, it's a tough sell. It's a real tough sell. So yeah. Gosh. Rocket Raccoon. Anyway, so let's go on to the normal countertop display, the one that you can get at your local hobby collector store. That's not at Target. Star-Lord. Oh, no. I think this is the Fast Forces. Star-Lord. He has running shot, psychic blast. Then he has, starts off with leading the attack. Friendly characters adjacent to Star-Lord that share a keyword with him can be given a non-free action, even if they have 2 action tokens. When they do, deal that character 1 unavoidable damage after actions resolved, and don't remove tokens from that character at the end of your turn. If this power is lost, even if this power is lost or ignored. Now, it's pretty much just saying, hey guys, you have Masters of Evil. Which is not bad. It's not bad, and it can allow your Guardians of the Galaxy or whoever else, put an entity on him, put him on a Blue Lantern team, Sinestro Corps, whatever, and he'll lead your attack for you, making whoever you want super duper crazy. Add in multi-attack for coup de grace. Okay, so automatically right there, depending on your access to his keywords and also depending on your access to entities, you really want to pick up that Star-Lord. And again, I understand not everybody's in the let me go push my team so I can do more damage crowd, but this is pretty good because it could turn a situation in which you may be KO'd into a definite situation where at least you shot off something before you died. Or it allows you to have 3 turns of constant pressure, which probably wasn't possible before. So that's something else for you to think about. Next up is Inspiring Commander. Star-Lord has Empower and Enhancement, which I'm like, I gave up Running Shot for that, but you also have Perplex, so that would allow you to up your range or up another stat to help out the team. So it's really a heavy support figure. Then his trait, Hardened Enforcer, once per game gives Star-Lord a free action. Choose an unoccupied square of clear terrain within range and line of fire. When you do, Star-Lord can use Pulse Wave this turn as if he occupied that square. Now note, when I say this, okay, this means that you can nuke either a single target really far away, a decent distance. You have technically a 9 reach for your pulse wave, because I'm not saying it's a swing or area effect of 9, but you have a 9 swing, because we're going to say like, hey, 6 squares out, okay, then plus 3 for the pulse wave, so that's 9. Okay, now also means that he can pulse wave around a corner, which is sort of ridiculous. All right, now the other thing that makes it ridiculous is that you would pulse wave where you are at and also from the square that you picked, which could mean that you can blow open an area really far. I mean, let me rephrase that. You can blast the area really big. So this could be very interesting. Because again, it says you can use Pulse Wave this turn as if he occupied that square. Now, I'm hoping that just means, hey, you get to Pulse Wave from that square, but you're not in it. You don't get to Pulse Wave around you. But again, it's sort of weird because, like, let's say if you have a double base figure, and I'm just using this as an example, you have a peanut base figure and it pulse waves, lines of fire are drawn from every square that it occupies, not just, oh, I picked this square and it's all lines of fire drawn from that square from pulse wave. So I'm just using peanut bases and multi-base figures as a precedent for this, but hey man, this is one of those situations where I'm like, I'm probably wrong, and I'll admit it. I've been wrong before. Anyway, going on, Rocket Raccoon from the Fast Forces. Stealth. Starting off. Outwit. Starting off. What the heck? Tiny size? Tiny size? Huh. Actually, you know what? I've overlooked the fact that every Rocket Raccoon thus far has been tiny. So, that's my bad. My bad. So, anyway, going on. His special power. 2 big guns give Rocket Raccoon a power action, and he may make 2 ranged combat attacks as a free action. Now, normally I would say happy day. But here's the thing that sort of grabs me, and I'm gonna just be honest about it. In a world where White Witch and Green Lantern power batteries are common, free actions have ran and hide, are on the run. And then that's really how I feel. It's like you either do this double tap or you outwit. Which is it going to be? So that's a problem. But the other thing is that, all right, now look at this. 75 points. 75 points. He has 5 clicks. 5 clicks. So, anyway, he has improved targeting, ignores enemy terrain, ignores characters, which is really good for that outwit. And considering he's tiny, he's just going to get carried around by whoever. So, overall, I gotta say, he's worth his points. I just think that you got to figure out how you're going to use him. Because 10 move, oh gosh, just 10 moves. Ugh. Goodness. Alright. I think we finally found our Gamora for our battle-ready Gamora right here. Here we go. Deadliest Woman in the Galaxy. Give Gamora a free action and choose an opposing character. When Gamora attacks a chosen character, modify her attack and damage values by +1. Gamora can't choose again until the chosen character has been KO'd. So that's some stuff right there. Okay. So just giving that +1 to attack and damage is just like, I'm 12 and 4 damage on you turn 1. Gotcha. With Precision Strike. Now you also have her special damage power at the beginning. Gamora can use Close Combat Expert. When she does, if Gamora hits an opposing character, modify one of the character's combat values by -1 until your next turn. So, yeah, I punch you in the face and you have -1 damage. I punch you in the face, you have -1 defense. So my buddy can punch you in the face. And if I have 2 Gamoras, I can punch you again and lower your effect. Because it doesn't say if not already modified by this effect. Now, again, I'll add on top of that is if you are able to get 2 Gamoras, probably I shouldn't have said again because this is the first time I've actually mentioned this for a point. If you're able to get 2 Gamoras, then yeah, it can be pretty awesome. But you're still paying for 2 Fast Forces. Anyway, Gamora can use Plasticity and Sidestep is her other special power, which is, okay. Overall, I gotta say 100 points is boss. Definitely 100 points. Even at 75, if you really want to drop it down to 75, you can do it. But you're going to need a lot more help. End-dial prob and blades, it's okay. It's okay. She's pretty deep. Yeah, she's pretty deep dialed. So that's definitely something to think about. Okay. Next up, Drax the Destroyer. 125 points, charge, exploit. Hard-drawn enforcer. Once per game, give Drax the Destroyer a free action and choose an unoccupied square, clear terrain, and within range and line of fire. When you do, Drax the Destroyer can use Pulse Wave as if he occupied that square. Now, here's where I'm more concerned about is that Drax doing that is a lot scarier to me. Now, you like say, hey, wait, Star-Lord does it, It's not that great. Drax does it, and you're concerned. Okay, let's look at it. Star-Lord has a 10 attack. Okay, and he gets an 11 attack on his second click. Drax, on the other hand, starts with an 11 attack. And he has 3 damage for half his dial. Okay, so definitely sort of giving it up to Drax for that trait. Also, he has super strength, which is pretty good because he is a strong man. Next up is Groot, and I would say, hey guys, this if you never got a Groot before, now you can get a Groot, and Groot can be your friend, and he can sit next to your potted plants, and you can be like, yeah, become one with nature. Groot starts off with phosphorescent flowers, lines of fire to opposing characters within 6 squares of Groot. Ignore hindering terrain, which is great because now you have this wonderful anti-stealth aura effect, which you can easily get. Then you have Wooden Cocoon. Groot can use Defend and Invulnerability. Adjacent-friendly characters can use Toughness. Now, a lot of times most people might say, well, Dark Logos, he has a decent defense. Why do I care that he has Defend and Invulnerability? Well, let's look. Okay, first off, if you don't have a damage reduction, you get Toughness, so that's great. The other thing, which is really nice, and for us to think about, in all honesty, is that with all that Adara Defend chaining going around, Adara hangs on to. Despotellus Adara Defend chaining. You can just be like, hey, Adara gives Despotellus Defend, which he changed to Groot, which Groot changed to, several other people. So you're doing pretty good. And if they don't have damage reduction, they now have Toughness. So definitely something to think about. A little bit more advanced big game strategy than anything else, but something to think about. Now they've done it. They busted out a ridiculous monster, Ronan the Accuser. Okay, so 300 points, 200 points, 100 points. 300 points, we start off with Running Shot, Pulse Wave, 12 attack, 5 damage. This is what I'm talking about. Improved targeting, ignores hindering terrain, and ignores characters. So I'm going to bust that cap and make sure I get you. Got 10 range on you. Full armorized, weaponized Ronan the freaking Accuser. Okay. Then he has a 300 points. He's like, I will not be denied. Ronan's powers can't be countered. Which he needs that, because he's a one-man army. Armored Robe. Ronan can use energy shield deflection and impervious. I'm a 20 from range, son. Now again, that's most people, you can plan to hit that. The safe defense nowadays is like a 22-23, which is by far the boundary edge of the game, which very few characters can reach. Then you have reserves of power. During the beginning of your turn, Ronan can use regeneration as a free action. Now, no, this is like your last 2 clicks, but considering you go from impervious for 4 clicks, then invincibility for 4 clicks, energy shield for your last 3 clicks, and you go outwit, perplex, close combat expert, and then at the last 2, you're like, I can use regeneration as a free action. And if I don't get anything, I'll just use it as a normal action. And oh yeah, buddy, I can also just phase away. So anyway, if you get this Ronin, if you play the Ronin, not if you get it, if you play this Ronin, I'm just going to be honest. You're only playing him at 300. You play him at 200, you are dumb. You play him at 100, you are really dumb. Play him at 300 and watch your enemies lament in the crying of their women. All right, I think that's the end of Dark Logos's voice time. Okay, yeah, that didn't even come out right. It could be the lack of sleep talking. All right, you can hit me up on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space and told me that the galaxy needs guarding. Definitely, when you follow me on Twitter, you can know when I get new shows up. Interact with me, ask me silly questions, and sometimes Twitter will actually let me know when you talk to me. It hasn't been doing that lately, which is sort of strange when I was halfway through the week and wondering, like, man, my fans didn't vote on my show yet. What happened? Also, you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com if you wish to opine. Keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. I am going to be going to the Tulsa Rock. Let me know if you're going. I need to make sure I bring surprises and cake. Well, maybe not cake, but surprises. Definitely let me know if you're going to the Tulsa Rock. I'm going to do my best to show up, unless my job denied my time off. Which, if they do, then I have problems. And last but not least, you can check out the blog startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. And if you want to donate to the show, that's where you need to go, and then I will post something about once a month now, it seems like, or once every 2 months. But I do post. At least when there's a new set, you're bound to get my buy list on there. So that's a positive. All right, that's it. The fans salute you. Yes, the constant summertime blues of the fan. Anyway, thanks for listening, and remember, we all have to start over sometime.